the camp of the suspended governor of Rivers State, Simi Fubara, are really in for more disappointment, especially after their hopes were raised that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will use the June 12th anniversary to redeem himself and restore democracy in Rivers State. Before June 12th, there had been a series of events that raised the hope of Simi Fubara and his supporters. Those events include the meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in London, the meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the Salah festivities, and all kinds of feelings that Tinubu is going to listen to the voice of reason and restore democracy in Rivers State. But that did not happen. June 12th came and went, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not deem it fit to talk about restoring Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, and the Rivers State House of Assembly. Instead, there are more bad news for Simi Fubara, because after the dashing of the hopes of Fubara and his supporters, in fact the hopes of most Nigerians that Tinubu will redeem himself, you know that Senator Siriake Dixon, former governor of Bayelsa State, was so upset that he has to speak out against the betrayal of the people by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for not restoring Fubara on June 12th. But that didn't end there. The fact remains now, and it's clear now, that the whole agenda, the whole reason for declaring state of emergency was for state capture, to capture Rivers State and to capture its structure. You know that why they got frightened with Fubara was that he was able to successfully conduct local government election. Because after that local government election, anything about structure that Nyesom, Wike and co were talking about became almost nothing. They now pursued him through the Supreme Court and now got what they want. When the Supreme Court invalidated that local government election, you can see that Fubara was very determined to conduct fresh local government election. To stop him from conducting that fresh local government election, they have to rush to declare state of emergency. Because if you notice, there are two major things that the Supreme Court directed Fubara to do: to represent the 2025 budget and to dissolve the local government. And he did that. And he was ready to resubmit the budget. He was ready to conduct fresh local government election. And they know that if he conduct the local government election, the people are with him. He's going to again put his own people to be in charge of the local government. So the only thing they could do to stop him is to impose state of emergency. And from all indications, despite everything he has done, they are not satisfied. So the bad news for Fubara is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu don't want him to return until after the sole administrator has finished conducting the local government election. So that by that time, the stooges of Nyesom Wike would have been planted in all the local governments so that Tinubu will use it together with Nyesom Wike to prosecute their election in 2027. That is what is playing out. If not, how do you explain that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the list of members of Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission and the Civil Service Commission from the sole administrator? He has now forwarded it to the Senate for approval. Immediately the Senate approved that, the next thing they are going to do is to conduct local government election. And the sole administrator, unelected, a sole administrator that is not recognized by the Constitution, a sole administrator that the Nigerian Bar Association said that it was an aberration in the first place, will conduct local government election. Because if the president doesn't approve for him to conduct local government election, he will not submit the list, the reconstituted list of members of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. He will not have transmitted it to the Senate for approval. Because once it is approved, maybe by the time you watch this video, the approval may have come. Then they are likely to conduct local government election, maybe in August, maybe in September. But that will be done before Fubara comes back. In other words, when Fubara returns, he's going to return like a lame dog. Literally useless to the people of Rivers State, because he will not be in a position to do anything of his own. That's the price that Rivers people have to pay for allowing godfatherism. To take over their state. That's the price they have to pay. Because if you notice also how important this local government election is to Nyesom Wike and his group, you notice that shortly after after the Supreme Court nullified after the Supreme Court judgment which nullified the local government election conducted by Fubara on October 5 last year, and restored the Martin Amehule led House of Assembly, in which the PDP members defected to APC, but the data denied they didn't defect. One of the first things they did was to summon the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to stop him from conducting the election, local government election. So that local government election is very paramount as far as Nyesom Wike and his group in Rivers State are concerned. Now that they have a sole administrator, now that they have the approval of the president, because the president has submitted the list of new members of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, they have gotten Simi Fubara where they want him. All those his efforts to make peace, it was like speaking to the deaf, because they don't want to hear until they made sure that they put the structure they want to put in. So it is unfortunate, but that is the democracy we have right now in Nigeria. It is a democracy in which the will of the people are not respected. It's a democracy in which somebody who is an alien to the Constitution is going to conduct local government election. And you ask yourself, is that in the contemplation of the right authors of the Constitution that a sole administrator will be put who will be conducting election in states? or is it to restore law and order? Now, is there any breakdown of law and order? From all indications you can see, if there were a breakdown of law and order in Rivers State, why should the local government, sole administrator, be planning to conduct the election, planning to constitute new board of the state civil service, appointing permanent secretaries and all kinds of positions? It's all part of the agenda of making sure that Nyesom Wike's so-called structure is what is in charge of Rivers State ahead of 2027 election. That is the bad news for Simi Fubara. He's not going to return. A whole lot of people were already preparing to celebrate his return on June 12th, but it was not to be, because apparently those who hold Rivers State in a stranglehold, they are not ready to release Rivers State yet until they put on the structure they want that will make Simi Fubara, his return will be almost useless to the people of Rivers State, because when he returns and he cannot do anything without what Tinubu and Nyesom Wike want, and what Tinubu and Nyesom Wike want can never be in the interest of Rivers people. You can take that to the bank. So Rivers State has now been turned to a cash cow for the unelected people to take and do whatever they like. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality on the ground. That's the bad news. That is the bad news for Simi Fubara. That is the bad news for his supporters. Perhaps if Simi Fubara has used a different strategy, instead of kowtowing to Nyesom Wike and Bola Ahmed Tinubu like he did, if he was able to fight, because sometimes it's better to fight and die than to succumb so easily. If he had fought them and they impeached him, the whole world will see it. If he had fought them to the end, so that will help to expose that what we have in Nigeria is not a democracy. It is just civilian administration, not a democracy. But he didn't do that. He lost a lot of opportunity. He threw a lot of people under the bus, all to make peace. But the people he was looking for peace with, they are not ready for peace until they get what they want, which is to put their own structure in place in Rivers State. After the local government election, when finally they can confirm that they are in charge, they will allow him to return. And if, let me also say, so that you remember that you had it first in this channel, if in the remaining 3 months that local government election is not conducted, Fubara will not return. There will be extension for 6 months until the local government election is conducted, because all these state of emergency and all these things are just deception to take over the control of Rivers State. That's what it's all about. And they will not allow Fubara to return until they have put that in place. So that is the bad news for Simi Fubara and his supporters. It is unfortunate, but that is the kind of democracy that we have been left with. And nobody doing anything about it. Everybody just watching as democracy is being destroyed in our very own eyes. It's unfortunate, but what can we do? But what to do is for sure, there is still God in heaven who determines the affairs of men. Whatever is your position on the plan by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that the sole administrator conduct local government election before Fubara will return, and the whole idea of a local government, of a sole administrator conducting local government election in a democracy. What do you think about all this development? What advice do you have for Fubara? What advice do you have for his supporters? Whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video, and if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.